Yo, what up? This is D Knight, and you're listening to the Pardon the Interaction podcast. My oh my, we've had so much going on. For starters, in case you missed it, we've got a new addition to the Pardon Pie family, Tara Dublin. Make sure you go follow her on Twitter at Tara Dublin Rocks. Also, pick up a copy of her book while you're at it. Make her day, The Sound of Settling. A very fun and interesting read compared to the things we talk about on this podcast. But yeah, we're heading toward the do or die time for the 2024 election. Go ahead and hit up JoeBiden.com. Get that man like $1 a month or something. Help his campaign staff up and get prepared to try and save our democracy. And make sure to grab like one other person you know and tell them about the podcast. Make sure they subscribe and tune in every single week. We got a lot of things coming up for you this year. We need all the support that we can get. So if you do your part and help us grow our audience, we'll do our part and help elect Joe Biden in 2024 and save American democracy. And this is the Pardon the Interaction podcast. All right, we'll do the usual routine. Hey, I'm sorry, I'm kind of tired, so if I end up being low energy, don't blame me. It's just like
Derek, I fell asleep. Okay, there's nothing. I got nothing to say. Okay.
See, that was hilarious. Like
you be tired all you want.
That. No, but here's the thing, though. It was so funny that I was like, "Damn, can you do that like every couple of months? Like we'll just make fun of it." And that's the thing. We're look, however unprofessional we are, we can just turn it into content and laugh at ourselves and make it funny. Because if not, all this shit would just be depressing.
Indeed, I lasted 3 days on my cleanse.
Well, you tried. Look, you still hot. That's all that matters. You're hot. How you are.
So now I'm trying something new.
That's longer than I thought you'd last.
Is it?
Yeah, and it's nothing about you or your character. Just like I don't think anyone can do those because they suck and it's not natural.
Right. They have a modified where you do like shakes in the morning, the smoothies in the morning, and then you have like a sensible dinner.
Anyway, I guess we could get started on the real shit. I'll probably chop some of that up and put that in here. Oh, by the way, this is probably enough to make 2 episodes, and we probably won't even get through all of my notes because it was that much crazy shit. And I left a lot of stuff out that I wanted to talk about because it's impossible. I mean, how can you? Anyway, weekly podcast. There's too much going on in the world to fit it all in. Do the intro. I'll count us in. The routine, and we'll just.
Let me stop eating goldfish.
No. Continue eating goldfish. It's totally fine.
At least while we're doing the introduction.
No, eat goldfish during it's fine.
I'm getting ready to fry chicken, so you guys will probably hear the grease popping.
Absolutely. Well, go for it. I'm all about the unprofessionalism and making it fun.
That's what makes us great.
Hey, this is D Knight.
This is Carol.
This is Ty.
And you're listening to the Pardon the Interaction podcast. I know you missed us. And on to the news for the week. Ginni Thomas. She finally testifies. Ginni Thomas, the wife of Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas. Bing! Remember when I told you that would come back up? Here we are. She reiterated her belief that there was election fraud in the 2020 presidential election during her testimony in front of the House Select Committee investigating the Capitol insurrection on January 6th. We're going to go that she reiterated the fact that she believed that, but she didn't provide any actual evidence to support that fact. Yeah, she's a fucking crazy person. All right. Reports also say that Thomas insisted she generally does not discuss her political activism with her husband, nor does he discuss his work on the Supreme Court with her. Generally doing a lot of heavy fucking lifting there. She confirmed that she texted White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows days after the November election, urging former President Trump to fight the election results. Texts that were released by the committee on November 10th, 2021. She said that her husband was not aware of the text until they were published in the press. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that's a fucking lie. I'm sure he was well aware of whatever the fuck she was doing. Like, how can you not know your wife's plotting to overthrow the government? Right?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I call bullshit on that. Like, spouses talk to each other about their jobs unless they hate each other.
No, even spouses who hate each other talk to each other about attempting to overthrow the goddamn government. Sorry, Karen.
But just their jobs, man. Yeah, people talk about that. That's how people spend a lot of their time.
Yeah.
How are you gonna not talk to your spouse about your day?
Yeah. What'd you do today, honey? Well,
nothing.
I went to the Supreme Court and ruined voting rights for black people. How about you? Well, I was plotting with Trump's chief of staff to try and overthrow the government because he lost the 2020 election. Fun times. Giggles, laughs, LOL, smiley face. Get the fuck out of here.
We're supposed to believe they're just sitting there like putting their hands in little steeples, like excellent, like Mr. Burns, and they don't say any. Wait.
Right, like they just sit around watching It's Always Sunny or something.
Yeah, they're just sitting there.
No. Thomas also addressed her volunteer campaign activities, pursuing evidence of election fraud. The committee obtained Thomas's emails to state lawmakers in Arizona and Wisconsin after the 2020 election, urging them to fight back against fraud and exercise their authority to choose a clean slate of presidential electors. Man, if you can't get it done with the chief of staff, like you can always go to the state electors of multiple states to try and get this motherfucker back to power. Seems like a criminal conspiracy to me. Thomas did not have a formal role with the Trump campaign on legal challenges to the election results, but she was reportedly in contact with John Eastman, Trump's lawyer, who also had his phone seized by the FBI. Bing! Keep that in mind because multiple motherfuckers keep having their phone seized. Her support, notably, most notably, the Pillow Man. Pillow.
You know, I noticed it seems like a coincidence in timing, but they sure seized those phones right before the new iPhone came out. Is it a conspiracy between Apple and the FBI? Tune in next week to find out.
Maybe they learned their lesson about seizing phones before people tried to upgrade to the newest version from the fucking Secret Service trying to hide their shit. Hey, what's up, buddy? All right. The Supreme Court ruled in favor of the House committee gaining access to these documents with Justice Thomas as the lone dissenting vote. I mean, of course, he would be the only one to rule against the January 6th committee and getting access to these documents, considering
it's not suspicious at all.
No, not at all.
You know what? He's so brazen that I wonder, like his actions absolutely tell me that he knew. And he's going to protect his wife at all costs. He loves that crazy bitch. I can tell. And he's gonna, I think right now, he's in husband mode. Like he's probably been, because she's loony and she strikes me as the type that, when she's having a spell, like when Selena in Veep, when she went to the spa, she strikes me as the type who had to go to the spa a couple times a year.
Well, I mean, this dude is. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and he holds it down, and so I think he's just like a sycophant for his wife, and will protect her at all costs.
Yeah, he sucks her dick the way she sucks Trump's dick. See, look, Tom Brady is more loyal to his fucking football team than Clarence Thomas is to the fucking United States Constitution, and he's a sitting Supreme Court justice. Like, choose your goddamn job over your wife in that case, not Tom Brady, Clarence Thomas.
No, his job is destroying America and making people cry.
No, honey, that's his side hustle. He does that for fun.
Technically, that isn't his. Technically, it's supposed to be, impartial, a political body, the sole aim of which is justice.
Right. Destroying the Constitution and everything it stands for is just his kink. All right, next topic. Christina Bobb, Trump's lawyer's up. Her lawyer will likely eventually need a lawyer himself, I would imagine. Time is a flat circle of endless cycles. Anyway, at least one member of former President Donald Trump's legal team, Christina Bobb, has hired her own attorney. Okay, here's the thing. Christina Bobb, I always get confused with the other one. I can't remember which one of them was the fucking parking garage attorney, but they're so both.
That was Haba, the race.
Yeah, it's man, it's so hard to tell. I tell you what, like I only know the difference between them now because Alina cut her hair. Anyway.
I mean, they do look similar. Like,
they do.
I can't tell them apart.
No. Well, one cut her hair and the other one has a little more blonde highlights now. Anyway.
But then their names are kind of alliterated, like Alina Haba, Christina Bobb. Like, I don't know. Like it can be like the alliteration.
I don't know where he finds these fucking people. TV. Yeah.
No, really. He hires. Seriously. That's how we found John Eastman. He saw him on the Mark Levin show.
Yeah, that's how that.
And he said some nice stuff about Trump. And Trump was like,
well, we say that now, but like looking back on it, it's entirely plausible that Ginni Thomas was the one who introduced Eastman to Trump's people. Anyway, Bob has hired her own attorney, and allies are urging another, Evan Corcoran, to follow suit. Bob and Corcoran,
that kind of money.
Bob and Corcoran affirmed to the Justice Department that Trump had handed over all classified records from his Mar-a-Lago residence in response to the May 2022 subpoena. The prosecutor said their response was incomplete after the FBI searched and found more documents at Mar-a-Lago and cited evidence of, quote, obstructive conduct in response to the subpoena. Man, you really got to go out of your fucking way to try and hide some shit from the fucking FBI after they've sent you a subpoena. Like, good fucking hug.
Moving documents around.
It's like, all right, well, we're moving from the thing to the office and back and forth and hide the shit here and there. And like, all right, good luck. Why would you even, terrible lawyering. Anyway, Bob has since hired her own lawyer, Florida-based prosecutor or former prosecutor John Lauro, and made it known to Trump allies that she is willing to cooperate, and be interviewed by the Justice Department. Asked if she was negotiating to sit for an interview with the DOJ, Bob told the outlet, "I'm sorry, I'm not allowed to talk about it." Seems as though negotiations are ongoing. So do either of you believe that Bob is now cooperating with the feds because she thinks she's fucked and she don't want to go to jail?
I'm gonna say yes.
Yeah, it's very possible.
Very possible.
And I'm thinking when she said a lot of stuff before to the press that I think was ethically questionable to do as an attorney with regards to, like, you know, sharing lying too. But I mean, like, you're not really supposed to go talking publicly about details of your case. It's really unprofessional. But now all of a sudden she's saying she's not allowed to talk about it. I don't think she means legally. I think her lawyer said, "You shut the fuck up."
Okay, here's my reasoning why she's cooperating is because Bob was at the war room the day before September 11th with Giuliani, Eastman, and the other co-conspirators, and she's on like pictures and stuff of her.
Yeah, she's on Insurrection Watch.
Exactly.
She's now implicated in multiple different fucking felony conspiracies.
And she's not smart. So,
well, hey, that's not fair.
If you're she's not. If you're slick like the kind of lawyers that like get Black people to take a plea and go to prison, they'd be like, you know what, we're gonna get you anyway. So you can take your chances as a child and you're facing life. Or like if they've got somebody that's got that kind of slick, they're like, listen, Bob, you know we got this other investigation going on, right? And we got you. We got you in pictures. And see, her mom, she's one of these, like, I don't know if I want to say dilettante, but that's the vibe she gives off. And I think it would be very easy to really make her like, you know, this isn't fun anymore. I want to go home. You kind of thing that she definitely would.
Especially when she's on the hook for obstruction of this investigation as well. I mean, like, easy target, right? Like, why would the feds go through all this hassle when they could just be like, oh, we got the motherfucking lawyer right here who's on the inside, who knows the dirt. And like, she's put herself in a compromised position legally.
Who signed an affidavit saying that everything had been returned.
Wrong.
Listed as attorney number 2. She's just like person of interest number 2.
Well, it's funny you say that about the signing of the affidavit. Next topic. The Trump finally did his own dirty work, and one Trump lawyer did not want to lawyer up. After the initial return of 15 boxes, attorney Alex Cannon thought there might be more records at Mar-a-Lago. People familiar with the matter said. Former President Donald Trump, I don't know why we ever voted him as not we, them, they, what the fuck were they thinking? As one of his lawyers to tell the National Archives and Records Administration in early 2022, that Trump had returned all the materials requested by the agency, but the lawyer declined because he was not sure the statement was true. Well, it obviously was not fucking true, bro. Way to kind of see that coming in advance and dodge the bullet. Alex Cannon, a former Trump organization lawyer who worked for the campaign and for Trump, after the presidency. Like, what was he doing for the Trump organization where he was qualified to work on the campaign? Anyway, it had facilitated the January transfer of 15 boxes of presidential records from Mar-a-Lago to the archives. And after archives officials agitated for more than a year to get, quote, all original presidential records back, which they are required by law to do. Following months of stonewalling by Trump's representatives, archives officials threatened to get the Justice Department or Congress involved. Trump himself eventually packed the boxes that were returned in January. People familiar with the matter said the former president seemed determined in February to declare that all material sought by the archives had been handed over. Well, we know that wasn't true. Then Trump himself handpicked the documents to be returned from Mar-a-Lago while keeping some behind, while also instructing his counsel to tell the government otherwise could worsen his legal position in the case against him. You don't fucking say. Trump packed up the 15 boxes under intense secrecy, keeping the process out of view of even his top aides. Around the same time, the Washington Post reported that the archives had retrieved documents from Mar-a-Lago. Trump asked his team to release a statement that he had dictated. The statement said Trump had returned everything the archives requested. Trump asked Cannon to send a similar message to archives officials, but Cannon told Trump, hell nah, bitch, you fucking crazy. He told others, he did not say that. He actually basically might as well have said it. He told others that he was not sure if other documents were still at the club and would be uncomfortable making such a claim. Well, you fucking genius. Good job getting yourself out of the Christina Bob situation where you don't have to hire a fucking lawyer yourself. Other Trump advisors also encouraged Cannon not to make such a definitive statement. Is this the only smart lawyer on Trump's legal team?
Yes.
He seems like a fucking genius.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, maybe I shouldn't make such definitive statements about shit that I know is absolutely not true. Genius move there, like 4-dimensional chess, not lying to the feds. Like, way to go, buddy. You did it. Yeah, you avoided prison.
I mean, that's the bar. But also, like, commending, that we commend Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger for not being insurrectionists. Well, you're kind of not supposed to be an insurrectionist.
Yeah, see, look, in my relationships, I have a pretty low bar. It's like, hey, don't maliciously treat me like crap, right? And then want me around. Those are basically my two standards. And surprise, surprise, a number of people fail to meet them. I'm sorry. I'm not bitter. Okay, I lied. I'm bitter. Women have ruined me.
They are, man. This is.
I still love you though.
Bare minimum.
Not the exes, just women in general.
The bare minimum is applauded. Well, at least for Democrats are like the only Black person in the office. You have to be twice as good as.
Oh my God, it's so true.
Yes. And so, but while the bar for the Republicans, for GOP.
Carol, you know nothing about being the Black woman at the office. The only, it's not your area of expertise.
No, you can't come in late. You can't, take a day off.
No, and you have to do twice as much work as the other people for half the credit.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And
my daughter was working.
And you get paid 80% of what everyone else is getting.
And she was like, there was a girl that would come in because my daughter has a good work ethic, and she was working. Everyone else was calling out like every day. And then one day she's like, man, I'm tired. She's a full-time student. And this girl comes in. She's there like an hour. And she's like, I guess Kayla's here. And then she just goes in the office and asks the manager if she could leave. And Kayla was like, oh, it was all good as long as I was working. But I was like, nah, girl, I'm out. And she was like, now she feeling some type of way at work, making it all toxic. That's privilege, man. That's privilege.
Yeah, I mean, my only privilege at work is that I'm part of a union, so it's very difficult for them to fucking fire me just for being Black or in my case, an asshole. But I do work hard.
UPS though, they have a significant percentage of people of color working for them.
Unions, yes. Unions are the reason why a large percentage of the UPS workforce is of color. Just protects the fucking job. Also, that it's probably why unions are so unpopular with the right. It's like, oh, if we had these fucking unions, like black people might have an opportunity to earn a fucking living. You can't have that.
That's also why they don't want to raise the minimum wage.
All right, Carol. The fake electors sleep over at the Georgia County Election Office. They didn't actually sleep over, but newly obtained surveillance footage shows for the first time what happened inside the Georgia County Elections Office the day its voting systems are known to have been breached on January 7, 2021. Ironically, a day after the fucking insurrection that we were just talking about over and over, because it's in every fucking topic, because this podcast is called Pardon the Insurrection. Ironic play on the podcast, or rather the ESPN show Pardon the Interruption. A Republican county official in Georgia and operatives working with an attorney for former President Trump spent hours inside a restricted area of the Coffee County Elections Office that day. Among those seen in the footage is Kathy Latham, a former GOP chairwoman of Coffee County, who was under criminal investigation for posing as a fake elector in 2020. Fake elector plot, also part of one of the random schemes these motherfuckers invented to try and keep Trump in power. Latham escorted operatives working with former Trump lawyer Sidney Powell, the Kraken, the Karen Kraken Karen, however you want to call it, through the front door of the elections office on January 7th.
Release the Karen.
Karen Thomas. The new footage appears to undercut previous claims by Latham that she was not personally involved in the breach. Oh man! So they were in the fucking county elections office for hours, unattended, unmonitored, doing who knows God what to the fucking elections equipment. It's not looking great for Latham's prospects for staying out of prison here. Carol, what are the odds that Latham ends up becoming a cooperating witness with the Coffee County investigation? What are the odds if you had to put a number on it, like 20%?
I don't know this bitch. I think it's always 50%.
50-50 coin toss.
Yeah.
I mean, she's on camera, Carol. We got the bitch. We got her. Like, she can implicate Sidney Powell.
Carol could be a weather person because all you have to say is like, it's a 30% chance. Literally.
Well, unlike the weather person, Carol's not always lying.
30% chance. That's it. You just throw one.
The weather person is not always right. What are you talking about?
That's what I said. They're always lying. The motherfuckers just
lying. I thought you said Carol's not always right.
Weatherman just be lying his ass off, or woman. I'm sorry, it's 2022. I can be gender neutral.
Individual.
The weather individual just be lying to us, lying their ass off, his or her or their ass, whichever pronouns they identify by. I don't know where I went off the rails there. I'm sorry. Look, okay. So we have that Oval Office meeting. It keeps coming up. The crazy one with Trump and all the Clark people and the Eastmans of the world, or whichever ones the fucking were. Where they were like, oh yeah, Sidney Powell, special counsel, sees all the election equipment. And then after the coup, she was like, all right, got to get to work. January 7th, it's the day later. Let's start with Georgia. Go seize the fucking shit. Here Latham is on video, hours spent in there doing God knows what. Like, she's got to be a fucking target. And I imagine like prosecutors are looking into this like, yeah, they're like salivating at the opportunity to get a cooperating witness who has all the inside juicy details to flip on these fuckers, right? I mean, I can't be the only one who's like, that's.
I don't know. I don't know. Kathy Latham is a little nutty. I watched her.
She worked for Sidney Powell. Of course, she's nutty.
And I saw that's true. And I saw her little testimony or whatever, where she was insisting that the machines, that there was something wonky going on, and she took Rudy Giuliani to that little meeting. But I think she's a true believer.
Oh, she's one of the sheep.
She is a true believer.
Not a wolf.
Nope. Yeah. And I think she was really convinced of her innocence and that she did nothing wrong and she was fighting a good fight. Yeah. If they get her to take a deal, it's going to be because they just really go hard on her. And then she's going to be like, my government turned on me. And it'll be that Karen sob victim story.
Yeah, good luck with that shit. We'll enjoy hearing your sob story from prison, you trifling, treasonous hoe. All right, on to the next topic. Kevin McCarthy releases the GOP platform, but there are hiccups. In an overly vague promotional video released by House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy titled "The Preamble to the Commitment to America." Da, 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 da. A narrator highlights America's exceptionalism, blames Democrats for leading the country off track, and announces the 2023 party platform priorities, which are an economy that's strong, a nation that's safe, a future built on freedom, and a government that's accountable. One problem, though. Several clips in the video meant to portray the diversity and vibrancy of America, including scenes of a woman shopping in a supermarket, a child running through a field, and a farmer carrying a bag of wheat, were actually stock footage filmed in Russia and Ukraine, along with a fake quote attributed to Abraham Lincoln. The quote is as follows: "Commitment is what transforms a promise into reality." The letter reads, attributing the quote to the nation's 16th president. The historian at the Lincoln Presidential Library said that there's no evidence Lincoln ever uttered those words. It's super ironic here, but every time the fucking Republicans put out a video saying how fucking amazing and awesome America is, it's always some fucking shit from Russia. Do they do this on purpose? Is this like the trolling thing where they hold up like the white power symbol thing, okay finger shit in the videos and the pictures, or are they just fucking morons?
Maybe
they're like, sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, Carol.
I was gonna say it as George Washington said. You don't take the vodka out of the generals. You put the generals into the vodka. Is ancient American saying, no?
Oh man. Hey, it's so good. It's like every single time.
Listen, give America them time. They're gonna start attributing Martin Luther King quotes to their Lincoln.
Oh, you mean they're gonna start attributing Stalin quotes to MLK?
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, right. It's like
because they're taking history out, so you know.
Martin Luther King Jr. Day, they're gonna be like, oh yeah, bring back the Soviet Republic.
But you know, in the 2000 Mules movie, that map they were showing, the geo-tracking, it was in Moscow. It was like really in Moscow.
Well, I have to tell you, I didn't watch 2000 Mules because like I don't.
Good.
I consider it along the lines of like Japanese anime, alien.
I'm an anime
tentacle porn. It's like it's for some people. It's not for me. Right, like other people might be engaged or entertained by such musings. I
mean, at least watching a tentacle monster penetrate a young woman could be based on reality. If there was a horny tentacle monster, whereas the other thing is just bullshit. I mean, who's that video harming?
Yeah,
an animated woman.
There is some truth. Yeah, you're right.
Women with alien related sex trauma.
I mean, supposedly she's at least enjoying the alien related sexual experience with the giant tentacles penetrating her every orifice. Like I can't say the same for the people watching the 2000 Mules video. Yeah, look, man. They're like, oh, the Russia thing is such a hoax. Yet every time we fucking turn around, they're doing something or quoting something, or they have some idea that's fucking pro-Russia, or they're sharing some video of like some Russia stock footage. It's every goddamn time. Every time you look up, here they are doing some Russia shit. Yep, and they're like, oh, the Democrats are McCarthyism. No, you're actually doing some fucking Soviet spy type shit every time we catching this. Anyway. Yeah, so that was fun times. It's been a week. And this is why I drink, to try and cope.
So aside from the imagery, the platform was also very, the same thinly veiled conservative hate. Like, what did you say? It was like freedom.
Yeah, it was some super
Insecurity.
It was some very generic shit. I mean, obviously because they have no policy ideas, they just had to say some shit that sounds good. An economy that's strong, a nation that, and let me do like the presenter's voice, an economy that's strong, a nation that's safe, a future built on freedom, and a government that's accountable. Bum, bum, bum. Right? Some that type shit.
You nailed it. That's all you need to say.
All right, what does that fucking mean in reality? Like,
and then they started playing our national anthem, the Tetris song.
Okay, I'm done. Yeah, look, man, these people. I can't wait till they. Hey, look, is it? It can't be a total coincidence that the trial, the biggest seditious conspiracy trial in the history of America, is taking place weeks before the midterm elections, probably the most important midterm elections of our life. I mean, arguably is important as 2018. After which, who knows what hell might break loose with the DOJ abducted. We're apprehending motherfuckers and locking motherfuckers the fuck up and filing all kinds of criminal charges. Is it perhaps coincidence? Or is the timing symbolic of DOJ's overall strategy regarding these criminal investigations and how they will proceed in the future?
I think it's strategy.
Yeah.
I think the DOJ knows they're up against the clock. I think that Merrill Garland is like, well, he knows what's up. He's been around a long time. He's no nonsense. And, I think they would like to be able to put more time, but they can't afford to. But fortunately, the people they're investigating are such fuck ups. There's enough evidence that they don't have to go so. They do have enough like on the surface to implicate a whole hell of a lot of people. But I also think they're trying to get information out and hoping that the American public will wake up from the MAGA fog. A good portion.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
I mean, the rest of them can just be arrested right after they're voted in.
Yeah, right. Like, I'm assuming that's what'll happen. Like, these elections will play out in November, and then like the very next week, they'll start locking fuckers the fuck up. Hey, so one question I have is, why is this seditious conspiracy trial not bigger than fucking OJ? Like, right? Like, why is not everyone in the entire world talking about this? Like, why is it not plastered all over the news and the daytime TV talk shows and all the shit? Like more people watch Barry Bonds hit that fucking 70 whatever his home run than like a seditious conspiracy trial about people plotting to overthrow the government, and they actually got like inches away from successfully overthrowing. Like, why is this not a bigger deal?
Just because we can't take the constant inundation of terrible news. It's just never stops, and it's like the baseline of our existence now, instead of just being a one-off. Like, what I remember during when OJ was fleeing from the police, I was like a little kid, and I was like, "Mom, pay attention to me." She's like, "This is important. Stop!" And like the whole nation was focused on it. Like
they cut into the NBA fucking finals to show the OJ chase, but like no one cares about the fucking plot to end democracy in America. Like, whoop-de-doo. Yeah,
man, that trial was. I've always liked watching trials.
Really, that's a strange kink. You and Clarence Thomas, huh?
I mean, trials. I don't know. Maybe because I was gonna be a lawyer, so it's like cross-examination, how they present evidence. That's always been fascinating. Like, man, I'm gonna.
Oh, really? You were gonna be a Kardashian in a different life, and not the kid Kardashians, the daddy.
Robert Kardashian. I was accepted to 10 law schools, man.
Well, fuck. How did I not know this? Like, that's very interesting. Like, how did that happen? Did you take the bar? No.
When, like, my LSAT before my scores were going to expire, and then I had left my ex-husband, and I was in
Fuck
North
that guy.
Carolina. I was in North Carolina, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this. I've been wanting to be a lawyer my whole life. I'm going to do this. And then I don't know. I didn't. And then I ended up moving to Florida. And that was when I was auditing the law classes at UF. And then I was going to start at Charlotte School of Law. And 2 weeks before, I was like, I'm going to move to Florida. And I did.
Interesting.
But I was chasing dick. It wasn't that interesting. It was pretty sad, actually.
I mean, I totally understand. Like, I don't, you know what? Actually, I don't understand. Why do women like men again? I don't. It makes no sense to me.
There's penises attached to them, and they feel good.
Do they?
Yeah.
I'm not familiar. I have one, and I don't even like mine. I'm like, what am I supposed to do with this thing? It's like boing. I'm done. Now what?
That visual is just.
It does come in handy when you need to pee. You're like, oh, I can aim. That's one pro.
That's true.
You know, and because I have a penis, I don't menstruate. So I guess there's like two.
That's nice.
2 bonuses.
And be thankful for that, because in Florida, apparently that's a.
Oh yeah, they're tracking shit. Hey, yeah, no, man, it's bad news. Bad news. Hey, all you kids out there, don't let them like track your fucking menstrual cycles and all your periods and stuff. Like, don't.
I think that's why they like God so much. Because what did he do to punish Eve? That's what he chose. He got her right in the feminine parts. And at least that's the story I've heard.
Yeah, painful labor and the menstrual cramps, right?
Well,
painful. Yes, exactly. I think that Christians should change their name to Godians, because Jesus and God are nothing alike. Like you can't be New Testament and Old Testament. Like you got to pick one.
Yeah, man. If God did all that kind of shit to women, like I don't understand why more women are like fuck church.
And look what he did with who was it? Was it Abraham? That he had pimping his wife out? He's like, hey, just tell him that's your sister. Then they'd be like, oh.
Abraham is the one who was gonna kill his son.
Yeah, different guy.
Which one was that?
Look, there was a lot of cuckoldry in the fucking Old Testament. I mean, technically in the New Testament, God himself was out here like, fuck Joseph, I'm gonna smash Mary, knock this hoe up. And then he was like, well, that didn't go great. Got to take him out. And 30 years later, post-birth abortion, 30 years after the fact. It also didn't go well. Didn't take. Yeah. And apparently when he came back, he had super fucking powers. It's a fantastic story. Makes total sense. I can see why, billions of people around the world worship this shit. It's like a fucking science fiction cult type thing.
Jesus was the first Avenger.
Yeah, well, I mean,
it was the frankincense.
He did assemble a team. Oh man, the frankincense and myrrh. Good times. Yeah, I don't know how we got here. As we were wont to do, just we go off the rails. So do either of you possibly have any closing thoughts prepared for this evening? Maybe not.
There's just a little bit over a month left until the midterms. If we want to keep having a trial and keep having people face justice, just do what you can. If you've got any extra money, donate it to some fucking Democratic congressman in a
act blue, people. Act blue or vote forward, either or. Directly
to the candidates. Write postcards, send texts, call people if you can stand it. Knock on doors, but make sure you're part of an organization first, because otherwise you're just an a-hole knocking on people's doors. Do something. Bring a friend. Bring 2 friends. Bother everyone you know. Make sure people overseas are sending in their overseas ballots.
I mean, bring a whole family. Bring a whole, make it a voting orgy. Just everyone all just voting together all at the same time, all over each other.
That sounds great. Yes.
Nailed it.
Just do what you can to reach those low information voters. Those that are the well, I've always voted Republican crowd. They really don't know why they're voting Republican. They just always have, their parents did. So they do it and they can't, well, I just can't vote them.
It's a tradition, like going to church.
Yeah, but reaching those when I'm posting on Facebook, because that's where most of those people in my life are. So it's like my family who are in North Carolina and Georgia, Flint, Michigan, Virginia, important states. And then a lot of my Latino friends and people here that vote Republican, like I'll make a post. It's the same little underhanded tricks I try with Steve, and I'll go, man, can you believe that in Florida they're gonna make girls, they're gonna track their periods? And they're like, what? That's insane. I go, I know, right? It's the GOP controlled like legislature. Like they've been doing that all over. Like I will try to hook them with something that I know they would think was insane.
Right. And they'd be like, hey, guess what? Surprise, surprise. It's the same motherfuckers every time.
Yeah. And I'll say, well, you
vote
like
for this.
When I was volunteering at the mustard seed in the late, and I would drop little things and I said something about Abbott's stunt. And I go, well, there was only 10 people on that first bus. What? Because all they did was just show the bus riding around in circles in DC of migrants, but you didn't see the migrants. And then they'd show like huddle together, and then catch some people to make it seem like it was this large, so, oh, well, I didn't know that. I might have to think about voting for him now. I'm like, that's the deal breaker?
Oh, wow.
For you, And I'm like, yeah, but try to have conversations with people that provoke their thought and get something that will kind of stick with them, that later, like maybe when they're laying there, like, man, like something that'll catch on that they can't really shake. And that kind of like bothers them, but in a way that they don't feel like you're talking at them. Young people, anybody that that has somebody that's going to be turning 18 or just turned 18, because it's the youth that are going to save us, and they see what's coming, and what people think is lazy. It's not lazy. It's just a lack of hope.
We were young once.
Yes, but we had promise.
Did we?
I was making, a couple dollars less in high school than minimum wage. There were still benefits, profit sharing, overtime. College wasn't unreachable in those days. So I knew there was a possibility. I had an apartment for, $500 a month, and it was considered fancy.
Okay, that's fair.
No, there's not that for these kids today, but letting them know, like, look, your voice is the one that's going to save all of us. We really need to stay on the young people and let the millennials know that they're not alone, and that we can save the future with their help, but we need it.
Come on, kids, you can do it. Save our asses. We fucked it all up. You got to solve our problems for us, or at least just vote. Please.
Yeah.
We need you. You'll make all the difference in the world. Don't you want to be a part of something beautiful? We can make the world a better place. Like, we can do all the fucking commercial type shit. We can do it with your help. We can do it with you. I don't know if any kids
have these passive aggressive boomers, who vote for the people who's basically taking away everything from the future generations that they benefited from, to be in their position to then turn around and shame the millennials for not having it.
Right. They made everything impossible for these kids, and then they're like, "All right, fucking little bastards, useless."
Yeah.
Like, no, you did this to them. They're in a position that you created for them, and then you're blaming them for not being able to escape the traps you put out there, laid out there for everyone. Yeah, I mean, fuckers.
Exactly. Exactly.
Not okay, boomers.
Well, I mean, it's not all their fault. It's not every one of them's fault. It's mostly Republicans. Yeah, as per the usual, blame the Republican Party. All right, my closing thoughts. I was initially wanted to talk about the Brett Favre scandal, but that I can't ever seem to get to. But I'm sure there'll be more breaking news about that next week, and then it'll be a perfect excuse to do so. But I think today, what I would like to talk about is a particular a tweet on the Twitter by one Caitlyn Jenner. Please don't cancel me. This is slightly nuanced conversation here. Well, I'll just read it. Caitlyn Jenner says, "We cannot have biological boys with penises changing next to our daughters in locker rooms and then have our daughters scolded by the school. This is so backwards. Shame on Vermont." Said tweet has about 100,000 likes, which I find readily offensive for multiple reasons. But, of course, one of my responses to said tweet was, yeah, who had Caitlyn Jenner, and this will be for obvious reasons, being anti-chicks with dicks on their batshit fuckery bingo card. Now, I'm not necessarily intending chicks with dicks to be rather a derogatory term. Like, I'm also pro dudes with vages too. Like, however you got to kick it to get down and get through in life, it's all fine with me. But really, my problem with this, and to some degree, is, and I'll just read what I wrote, is the inevitable conclusion of this is probably some kid somewhere getting hurt or murdered. However anyone might feel about the situation at the school in Vermont, it's some damn kids. Put a goddamn changing room in the locker room. Kids shouldn't be forced to undress together anyway.
Well, they shouldn't be taking their drawers off. So when would they see
right. Like, it's a lot going on there. But like, all that aside, the real problem is that there was already a trans woman who was murdered in Vermont a few months ago, and she was stabbed multiple times. I don't actually know the motive behind that killing, other than that she was a trans person, right? And when you take your massive audience and aim it at a marginalized group that you're supposedly a part of, and one that's already prone to be attacked, it's like giving the worst people in the world a seal of approval to jump straight to violence because people are fucking morons, can't grasp nuance, and will think, well, Caitlyn is trans, so Caitlyn is right about trans people, and then go kill someone for using the bathroom. The same way some generic white guy is going to see Kanye in a White Lives Matter shirt and say, see, Black lives don't actually matter, and Kanye said so. And then they'll try to prove it by having one less Black life in the world. As we are, there's plenty of available evidence out there in the world to prove that to be accurate. It happens quite often. I don't know what you have in the trans community that's the equivalent. And I'm speaking to you trans people out there, should you happen to be listening. Serious topic here. But for us, we have Uncle Toms, and by us, I mean us Black people. These handful of Black people who exist in the anti-Black space that cape for white supremacy and spend their time and energy derailing progress for Black people. You may be familiar with one Candace Owens, that type, the Clarence Thomases of the world, the fucking pizza guy who died of COVID to support Trump's stupid shit. People like that. And the inevitable conclusion is generally that the Uncle Tom is held in esteem by the people who most wish to do the Black community harm, and then use that person as the justification to do the harm. And I don't mean jokes or harsh words, but truly life-changing harm, if not violence. And the shit is so offensive. Racism from white people, yeah, it's stupid, but I totally understand. Like, there is an inherent benefit in the oppression of a minority, at least in America, by the majority. But Black people caping for white supremacists, no sympathy for me. And that's why when, say, Clarence Thomas gets figurative shots fired in his direction, Black people who are familiar with his work just shrug. Like, all right, bro, you kind of get what you earn. So while Caitlyn, through her means and influence, might be afforded a room in Master's house, she has no problem keeping other trans people out in the field. And if you deign to use the wrong bathroom like the days of segregation, she's the first to sick the dogs on you. And if not the dogs, she'll run you over herself, and she'll get away with it because even as a trans woman, she still has rich white male privilege. It's crazy how that works.
I don't like Caitlyn at all. She is a horrible human being. And it's really convenient for her to say these things now when they don't affect her because she's older. She's not in school. She doesn't have to, worry about that. And she probably doesn't, have to go to the bathroom anywhere with anybody. She just hops on her private jet or go to, what have you. She doesn't have to deal with the struggles and
total lack of self-awareness.
It's
total lack of self-awareness.
Yeah,
the lack of empathy is stunning. I just
look how long it took Caitlyn to stand in her truth. 60 years? 60 years to stand in her truth. And she did it at, all these years at I don't want to say convenient time. Convenience isn't the right word, but there was, at least really before Trump got too out of control and all this anti-drag queen and everything, groomer stuff going around. But when there was starting to be a turn, you were having these laws to protect transgender youth and their rights and stuff before the backlash came like a hurricane and just destroyed all the progress made in the, towards it, not just tolerance, but acceptance for the transgender community. And it's disgusting that she uses her platform to deride. She gives absolutely zero words of hope, motivation to bring herself out there like, hey kids, hang in there. Here I am, a 70-year-old woman. Took me 60 years to get here. You will be fine. Nothing. There is zero positivity that comes from that crowd. I mean, when I was growing up, even watching the news, they'd show you the war going on in Somalia or this or that. And at the end, they would go, now on a positive note, look at this kitty stuck in the tree. And the fireman comes and gets this kitty.
The local news is still like that, to be fair.
Not here.
Well,
okay.
Texas.
But they would end on a fuzzy note, a warm and fuzzy note. And now they're like, and you're all going to die. See us tomorrow here at Faux News. That's it. Like, that's what they leave us with. And there's nothing. And I don't ever hear anything positive coming out of Caitlyn. She was privileged as a man, and she's privileged and entitled now. Personality, still the same.
I mean, is it not the equivalent of the Kanye West wearing the White Lives Matter shirt?
She's a TERF, like J.K. Rowling. I put Caitlyn Jenner in the same category as J.K. Rowling.
Well, it's great, Kanye, that you can afford to wear this shirt that says White Lives Matter, given that you're Kanye. So to some degree, you stand above and beyond whatever the average Black person may experience in America, being a Black person. Like you have a degree of privilege where you're afforded that opportunity. But for most of us, we live in a world where being Black can get you killed for absolutely no reason. Walking down the street, going for a jog, sleeping in your own bed, in these situations. Good for you, Kanye. But what about the rest of us? This supposed community, or this community that you supposedly belong to? Do you have any empathy for other people in the same situation as you once were, who don't have your means and fame?
Well, he grew up on the South Side of Chicago. So it's just incredible. And I must say, I have been so terribly disappointed in the lack of involvement from the culture. I remember back, 20 years ago, when Puffy was all rock the boat, this and that, and it was so motivating and inspiring. And I get it. Obama was absolutely inspiring, the thought of having a Black man running for president that could actually win. And that excitement. But It's deeper than that, more than that. So much is at stake. I live in the state of Texas. That's where Selena Gomez is from. She's so popular on the Mexican station I listen to, the Latinx 94.3 Latinx station, which
the
is
kids love her. The kids,
and she's got so, and then my daughter's age, they grew up with her when she was on Wizards of Waverly Place. She's from Texas and she's a Latina. She could be here fighting, campaigning for women's rights vocally against what Greg Abbott was doing, which is disgusting. And Beyonce, so many people like Georgia, like how many in these battleground states, all of these professional athletes that are in these key states, I would I'm not going to play. I need my Milwaukee Bucks. If you play for the Bucks and Wisconsin's, I need you to stand up and on behalf of your team, on majority of your players and the voter suppression. I need you, like the kind of solidarity and just the anger and the fight. There's none of it. All of these, rappers, hip hop stars, and other people on their platform, unless they're using it to make a meme and make something fun, but they're not energizing the base. And I
find it difficult to, I don't know. I mean, it's a complicated topic. The nature of people using their celebrity to further causes that they probably socially align with, but because there's always the possibility that, hey, they take one step too far or take one too many knees and then they end up losing their career, like a Colin Kaepernick or such. And we appreciate the Colin Kaepernicks of the world, but you also can't necessarily expect everyone to put their careers in their future earnings. It's difficult, right? Like we would prefer that. But the expectation of such is probably a stretch for me.
And that's incredibly sad because there weren't those people have been protesting in sports for
the entirety of sports. Yeah.
For the entirety of sports and entertainers, Josephine Baker, she was such an activist and she was so, incredible. And the Elijah Cummings and the John Lewises, they weren't worried about losing their careers or their lives. They did it anyway. Because it mattered. And that's the point. It needs to matter.
Yeah. Well, I can't assume anything about the people who don't speak out publicly because the athletes and celebrities, musicians, artists, all these people, they do things behind the scenes that could be potentially as valuable as speaking out. Like, I don't know how to quantify the difference it would make if more people were more vocal, whether it would actually make a difference in the long run. I hope people are doing the best with the power they have in the ways they see fit. But yeah, look, they will eventually speak out, but it might be too late.
And they're going to speak out when they lost everything. Yeah. They're going to speak out when they're like, you can't go to college. You're banned from playing sports. We're going back to whites only sports because it's unfair. Or what have you. I mean, they forget that it was not that long ago that they wouldn't have been able to even play in the league that has made them so much money that they have. It wasn't that long ago,
No, it wasn't. Definitely in my parents' lifetime was the color barrier broken in baseball. I mean, hell, in just recent years, it's only become fairly more widely accepted to have a black quarterback of your professional football team. And even then, don't let your black starting quarterback have a white backup. Oh man, don't let that happen because the backup quarterback becomes the most popular person on the fucking team.
Or let him have a bad day.
Oh, let him have a bad let him win MVP one year and then come out and have one bad game the next year. They'll be trying to send the dude to the yep.
Yeah. I mean, there was, and freaking booing and the N-word and it's just It's just insanity. I don't know. It's just it's so much. I'm like, I need November 8th to come. So I know what the fuck is going on.
And that's your cue to vote for Democrats, people. Vote for Democrats. Yeah. Save the country, save your lives, save the economy, save democracy, save the world, save the universe, save the multiverse, save the infinity and beyond. Oh, wait, that's Buzz Lightyear. My bad.
Is that our fight song, Carol, or our
I'm still here. Hey.
Carol is also enjoying the show. And
I'm also here.
But not for long, because that concludes this episode of Pardon the Insurrection.
That concludes this episode of Pardon the Insurrection.
And we'll see you next week.